Okay, so let's just backtrack real quick. Humans only give their energy, time, and resources to things that they expect to get a return from on the time, energy, and resources that they've put into it. So if I give you time and energy,
1000%,
and you don't return my time and energy somehow, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna not do business with you again, and I'm gonna go somewhere else. Okay? Let's just foundationally start there. That could be with anything. It could be with a friend. It could be in a relationship. It could be in a business transaction. Anything. It's just how humans operate. Okay?
Yep.
So now let's apply this to the internet real fast. Before somebody is going to go into your webinar and give you 2.5 hours of their life, let's get a simple question out there. Have you ever almost died?
Fuck, my startups almost killed me a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so check this out. If you've ever actually been near death, or if you just remember that you're going to die one day, dude, 2.5 hours of your life down the drain on something that you're going to feel scammed on afterwards is not something you're going to do again. So if somebody's gone through a webinar once, they're going to remember every other webinar in the future. They have a really low probability to respond to, because they've potentially already had that skepticism ingrained to them from where we're at right now in the marketplace, okay, from the sophistication. So to get somebody to give you attention and to get somebody to care about you, you have to apply some cognitive biases into your marketing efforts. You put a regular piece of content. This is 60 seconds long or less, so you could use it on both Facebook and Instagram. Your goal is to get people to watch 10 seconds of it, because the average attention span in the news feed,
7 seconds,
1.8 seconds per post. The average person scrolls from the top of the torch of the Statue of Liberty down to the toe. It's about 356 feet per day. So 1.8 seconds, 356 feet of content, okay? So your goal is to get somebody to watch 10 seconds of your 60-second video. And your goal is to establish 3 biases: authority, social proof, and curiosity. Now, let's just backtrack again. If you're walking, let's say, through the mall, okay? And you see a store that has, let's say you're just at the Apple store, okay? You don't know a new iPhone or a new Mac's coming out, but you see a long ass line wrapped around the block, starting from the Apple store, like all the way down the block. Walking past it, are you gonna look to see what's going on?
Yes.
Are you gonna have a little bit of natural curiosity that's just like, what's going on there?
Yeah, what the fuck?
What if a fight breaks out while you're walking down the road? Are you gonna stop and be like, oh yeah, look, what's going on over here?
Yeah.
And it just takes over you. You don't really have a choice. It just happens, right?
Yeah. You're just in
That's an example of the bias for curiosity and social proof, okay? Now, authority also plays into that equation. So if I look over somewhere and then I'm like, oh, there's a bunch of people huddled outside of a store I don't care about. You're gonna look, you'll have that little second where you don't have any control over yourself and you're trying to figure out what's going on. But as soon as you figure out it might not be an authority that you care about, you're not gonna give it more attention. But let's use the example of the Apple store. You know, if you have Apple products, there's a pretty high probability that you consider Apple as an authority in your mind. Somebody that you trust, somebody that you can look to, and more importantly than anything else, somebody who has credibility in the market. So now let's apply this to personal branding. Your 60-second video, okay? Most personal brands who are legit, they have a lot of footage like this, so it's really easy to do. Groups of people usually surround us at events and ask us questions. If you have meetups with your students, I have footage where it's like 25 people in a circle, all looking in one direction. And then, to be clear, I'm not trying to sound pretentious. I'm breaking down the bias here of like how you guys refer people.
Yeah,
So
no, I mean,
you want groups of people looking at you or looking at the subject that you're trying to build authority, social proof, and curiosity towards. Why? Because when humans see a group of people looking in one direction, they naturally have that bias that takes over that forces them to attempt to figure it out. It is not a choice. It naturally happens. So your goal is to have rotating clips every 2 seconds, or if you can time it out correctly, 1.8 seconds.
The biggest lesson learned that I took into the next stage of my career was always, and I can't emphasize this enough, and to this day in my role as CMO of Ingresso, marketing in B2B is about making life as easy as you can make it for sales.
I love that. Make
Fundamentally,
life as easy
that's what marketing
as
is about.
possible for sales.
Okay.
Wow.
And that means having the right messaging.
I was about to say, what does that mean?
Yeah, the right messaging, the right materials that are both promotional. So you've got to have branding, you've got to have demand generation, and then you also have to have an eye toward what's the number. The modern marketer, I talk about this a lot in my presentations and when I write and so forth. The modern marketer really needs to be more revenue focused than the marketer when I was in other roles, earlier in my career. It really was more about promotional marketing and merchandising and case studies and that kind of thing. But today with analytics, everything that's available to the modern marketer, it really has to be about what do we need to do to make that number and work backwards from there.
And the micro secret for me was the lesson is have the guts to get up and go. Don't stick around. The comfort. It is a comfort zone. You get your paycheck every month. Sure.
Yeah.
But if you're not being appreciated, if you're not adding, the value you're adding is not being appreciated, go. Especially if you're young.
Dude, life is so short. Like, why waste it? Screw that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like being with someone that puts you down every day. Like, get out of it.
Yeah,
I love that you had the courage to say, you know what, I'm out. And you said, how old were you when you did that?
28.
28. That's you're just getting into your prime, I feel like. So to walk away at that point is I left my job to go full time on building Seamless and at 29, and it was the hardest thing for me to do. I loved it though. I had a different situation than you.
How the hell do you keep yourself humble and have humility and stay hungry and coachable and still want to optimize and learn?
Yeah, I think three things. So one is having mentors that are doing way better than you. That's number one, because
that's a hell of a tip.
Because you're gonna get shut down. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, and they're gonna be like, no, I've sold 3 companies, I have way more experience than you. This is what you need to do. So all my mentors are just on the next level, and I know that if I try to come up with them either incorrect or they sense just a little bit of me just kind of not working hard. First of all, they're not gonna want to mentor me anymore, and then also they're gonna tell me Morgan, you need to get back on track of what's going on. That's the way that I really just stay hungry, because I just know that they won't appreciate me much as the mentee if I'm not continuously moving forward. So that's one thing. And two is really what Gary says. What's up?
No, I was just saying that's an awesome tip. And before we hit number 2 and 3, why that I think that's so critical is all my friends, all my family, people around me, and I don't know if you've experienced this. They're like, Brandon, you're working too hard. Brandon, why are you so out there? Brandon, why are you giving it your all so much? And dude, my mentors are billionaires and hundred to billion millionaires. And when you start studying these guys and gals and women and men, they go all out in all facets 24/7. I'm not saying you need to work 24/7, but I completely agree with you, dude. They're on a whole nother level where I feel like shit every day I wake up because I already know they've done 20 things more than me. Gary Vaynerchuk has already done 1,000 things more than me. Grant Cardone has already done 1,000 things more than me. Ryan Serhant has already done 1,000 things more than me. It's fuck, I feel like a loser.
You were a quota-carrying salesperson and sales leader in the technology and financial services space. And I know you were closing up to $100 million worth of deals, which is awesome. A lot of successes, a lot of failures. And then you've been leading Score More Sales for the nearly past 2 decades. Tell us about trying to build and grow Score More Sales. Prospecting clients, getting customers.
I would say in many entrepreneurial journeys, the first, few years can be tough. They were for
Brutal.
me. I rebranded because I wasn't called Score More Sales when I started out. And so you learn as you go, but the short version is...
And I like to tell people at 36, the first few years are going to be hell. Every company I start, my first company I got lucky and it was sky high in the poker gambling industry. Second company was 3.5 years of hell. This is my third company after going into sales for 2 different careers. And the first 3.5 years, hell. How hard was it for you the first few years?
But what I thought about is that when you're working for someone else, again, there are meetings going on that you're not involved in when people are talking about your future and your fate, unless you're in the C-suite. And so to some extent, when you're working for someone else, you're always, your fate is not totally in your hands. When you're working for yourself, building your dream, you're going up the hill. And so at least you know what your surroundings are, and if you can get up that hill, you're good. You're good. And don't fall off, right?
Yeah. Don't fall down the mountain.
Yeah, it's a different feeling. They're different issues. But I like the fact that I could control my destiny.